most people spend more time planning their summer vacation than planning their lives. Great leaders tend to share one thing in common, and it's strategic thinking. If you do not have a well-developed plan, then whatever you're planning is also going to fail. But Hi, welcome to Book Review DNG, a channel which was created to share premium content from different books and different authors from around the world that have personally inspired me. And so today we are still going on with a book that we started a couple of weeks back, and we're on chapter 5 that talks about strategic thinking. And before we go on, I would like to bring something to your notice. There's a way John C. Maxwell actually wrote this book that at the beginning of every chapter, there is a quote that is related to what the chapter is talking about. So for strategic thinking, the quote that is here, the source is unknown. It says, most people spend more time planning their summer vacation than planning their lives. I hope you've gotten what it says. It's like most people spend a lot of time planning vacations than they actually take when they're planning their lives. And as such, let's jump right into it. What is strategic thinking to you? What comes to your mind when you hear strategy? Personally, I think it's the way we organize our thoughts, or we plan out our thoughts, our ideas all together from the first step to maybe step 10 in such a way that by the time we reach step 10, we would achieve what we want to achieve. I believe that strategic thinking is just how you position certain ideas, certain measures that you need to take in such a way that at the end of the day, you will be successful. So John C. Maxwell actually shares with us why he's giving us points as to why we need to release the power of strategic thinking within us. And it says that it simplifies the difficult. That is true. Because once you've taken, let me say you have a problem at hand, yeah? And the problem seems to be so difficult, so hard for you to handle. Strategic thinking actually helps you to take that problem and you start asking yourself questions. You start dividing that problem into smaller parts so that you can actually understand. You get to know where is this problem coming from, what are the main things that are keeping this problem in this place, why is the problem not being solved as fast as it's ought to. Yeah, so that's what strategic thinking helps us with. It helps us simplify things that seem very difficult for us. Strategic thinking prompts you to ask the right questions. Remember, I've been talking about it just right now. So you have to ask yourself the direction where you're going. Where are we going next? What are we doing next? Yeah, are we on target? Like, is where we are right now where we need to be so that we achieve this in the coming years? You have to be able to ask yourself those questions, because strategic thinking actually helps you. It forces you to stay on track. It forces you to follow the process so that you know if you're actually making progress or if you're being stagnant in that one space. Third point, strategic thinking prompts customization. What do I mean? Strategy is not a one size fits all. No. You might have used this strategy to solve a particular problem, but next time you're faced with a different issue, that same strategy will not apply. It will not work. As such, it actually helps you to be quick in a way that you are able to shift. You're able to come up with a new strategy. You're able to come up with new ways of solving different problems. And that's how it prompts customization, because you're able to customize different strategies to different problems. Fourthly, it prepares you for an uncertain tomorrow. What do I mean? Strategic thinking is the link, is the bridge actually, that links you where you are today and where you want to be tomorrow. That's the difference. So because of that strategy, you will know that if I do this, in the next 5 years, I'll actually be here. My company would advance in such way. And yeah, I always say company, I always talk about business, but actually all these types of thinking apply in all sectors of life. They apply in all the areas of life. So fifth point, it reduces the margin of error. When you have a nice plan, when you've really taken your time to strategize your plan, to strategize your idea, you reduce the risks of having errors, because you have taken your time to develop everything in such a way you know where you're heading. the moment you move to the next step, you already know after this is where I'm going to be going. This is how things will be flowing. So there will be a limited amount of errors in whatever you're engaging yourself in. 6 points. Strategic thinking gives you influence with others. Great leaders tend to share one thing in common, and it's strategic thinking. Because you can't tell me you are unable to think strategically and people will follow. People want to follow someone who knows what will happen tomorrow, what will happen the next month and the years to come. And that's what makes leaders actually who they are. That's power that they have to know that these actions, what you are doing today, is going to result into this in the coming years. And that's why people will tend to follow, people will be attracted to you, you'll have actually influence over the people you are leading. You'll not have to you'll not have to pull strings with your employees and your workers. Which leads us to the next topic here, how to release the power of strategic thinking. So the first thing we ought to do is to break down the issue into smaller, manageable problems, because it's very hard to tackle a problem as a whole, but once you divide it into small sizes, you are more flexible when it comes to solving them, and that is the first step on how you can release the power of strategic thinking. Secondly, you have to learn how to ask why before how. You can't just come in from nowhere and you look for a way directly of solving the problem. You have to understand where did the problem come from. You have to know the background history of the problem so that slowly you can follow it through to where the problem has reached now. And that's something we all need to learn, because most people, by the way, they all jump into solution making without understanding the origin of the problem. So we ought to first look at the background of the problem so that we can know how actually we shall be able to solve the issue. Thirdly, we have to identify the real issues and objectives. There is a quote here that I would like to read for you. It's from William Feather. He's the author of The Business of Life. The quote says, "Before it can be solved, a problem must be clearly defined." It's like what I've been saying earlier on. But then here you have to understand the real issues and objectives. What actions led to the problem? That's what you need to look at. And once you've defined your problem very well, it's going to be much easier. Trust me, it's going to be much easier for you to find a solution, and a solution that is actually going to be long lasting. That's also another good thing with strategic thinking. Fourth point, you have to review your resources. A strategy that doesn't take account of its resources is doomed to failure. You cannot just keep making plans. You cannot keep taking actions without knowing what resources you have at hand. So we need to learn that whenever we're actually planning out something, let us be checking our resources along the way. Because trust me, it's going to be so useless when you've already planned out something and later on you find out that you do not have the required resources to actually do what you intended to do in the first place. Fifth point, you have to develop your plan. You really need to take your time if you want that idea that you have in your mind to come into fruition, to come into action. Here, Maxwell tells us that depending on what the problem you want to tackle, you'll have to use different ways of planning, because there are different problems and there are different issues in different companies. Before we go on, I would like to advise everyone who is venturing into the business field to look or read the book Sun Tzu and the Art of Business. Unfortunately, I do not remember the name of the author, but it's a nice book that gives strategies that one could use in business. So developing your plan, you have to actually start from the obvious, start from the very first. Do not jump any steps in this process, because if you do not have a well-developed plan, then whatever you're planning is also going to fail. But you need to take ample time to write down your plan. Take your time actually. You don't have to rush into it. Take your time to develop it well from beginning to the end, so that you will know actually what you're engaging yourself in is going to be running along the time that you've also prepared for it. 6th point, you have to put the right people in the right place. So there are actually many consequences when you put someone who is good at writing behind the camera. You're going to see a lot of difference, because that person is actually, their strength is in writing. So they may actually have knowledge about the camera, but they may not be very good at it as they are in writing. So we have to also learn. We have to know the people that we are working with. If you know that this person is good with marketing. Don't put them in something else. Don't put them as public relations officers. Put them where you know, if I put this person here, they're going to be giving me their 100% full potential. And that's what you want to do when you're strategizing. You have to know how to put the right people in the right place, and when to put them actually is also something important. So last point, you have to keep repeating the process. The will that you have to succeed should be the one driving you to always keep on repeating this process, because trust me, I know it's not easy. It's not easy because along the way, yes, you may have a strategy, but that reduces the errors, but you're still going to face some challenges along the way. But you have to keep standing up all the time and repeat the process. If one strategy didn't work, repeat it, or you try something else. Try changing a few things that you think might have led to its failure. But don't give up, actually. You just have to keep working hard, and making sure that new strategies are somewhere stored up for you to keep using them whenever you're facing a challenge, or whenever a new problem has come up in your company, in your business, anywhere, in any area of your life. And I would like to know how many of you took part in the exercise that we posted last week about writing your strengths and weaknesses. I personally, I did it, and I guess my strengths are more than the weaknesses, and I hope it was the same for all of you. And if you haven't done it, go and watch the previous video so that you get to know what we are talking about. And please, I would really love to know what are your thoughts about this in the comment section. So I'll be watching and hearing what you guys are thinking and what you guys are willing to share with me. Thank you so much. See you next time. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. This is Book Review, the NG.